0.8% house edge. That's one of the lowest in the entire casino. But even though I knew this information, I didn't know what to expect the first time I played craps. Like, what does 0.8% house edge actually mean for a real player at a $15 minimum table? So I started running simulations of crap sessions to see the variation in outcomes. Like, what bankroll would I need to survive for 10 shooters? Or how likely is it that I would walk away with any winnings at all? And how much is it even possible to win or lose? And how hot does a shooter need to be before I'm playing with house money? Today, I'm sharing a crap strategy that you may have played without even knowing that it has a name. It's called the 3 point Molly. I'll simulate 100,000 sessions to see how this strategy pays off in the real world. But first, let me demonstrate how the strategy actually works. The aim of the 3 point Molly is to cover 3 points using a pass line plus two come bets. You can optionally add odds for these bets, and we'll be taking single odds, which is an extra $15 or $16 on each of these bets. Many craps experts recommend playing maximum odds with this strategy, and that is how you get the lowest house edge, but it also requires a substantial bankroll, especially at a $15 table, so I'm going to stick with single odds for this video. On the come out roll, place a $15 pass line bet. This bet will win if the next roll is a 7 or 11, and it will lose if it's a 2, 3, or 12. If any other number is rolled, that becomes the point. Next, add $15 in odds behind the pass line bet and make a come bet of $15. Once that come bet moves to its point, take odds on that bet and make the second come bet. And when that second come bet moves to its point, take odds on that as well. Now we're fully set up, there's $90 on the table. Just continue replacing any come or pass line bets as they get paid off and hope that the shooter avoids a 7 out. Now there's a few things that you need to know. First, if you're taking odds on a 5 or 9, place $16 on the table rather than $15. This will make it a proper bet, so you'll get paid the true odds of 3 to 2. Otherwise, the casino's just going to round down. Second, the odds on the come bet are either working or not working depending on the position of the puck. If the puck is off and the number hits, your come bet will win, but the corresponding odds are just going to be returned to you. The same is true if a 7 is rolled, your come bet's going to lose, but the odds will just get returned to you. Of course, you can ask the dealer to keep your bets working, but in this simulation, we'll follow the standard way of play as I just described. So let's go ahead and run the actual simulation. 100,000 sessions is going to play through 10 shooters, so we'll end up with 1 million shooters total. The simulation resulted in over 8.5 million rolls. If you average that to 85.3 rolls per session or 8.53 rolls per shooter. Now, we know that the theoretical limit is 8.5 rolls per shooter, so this helps me know that the simulation is working. And then if you assume an average of something like 40 rolls per hour, that's roughly 2 hours of play. The bottom table shows us the casino's view. It's the total of all bets, wins, and losses. The house take here is over 1.2 million, which is 0.823% of all bets, and that's actually the house edge. The theoretical house edge, as I mentioned at the beginning of the video, is 0.8%, so the simulation is working just as expected. Let's look at the actual results of the simulation. First, how often will this strategy win or at least break even? You can see here that this strategy loses more often than it wins, which is about 44% of the time. Actually, let's also look at how much this strategy will typically win or lose. Here's a histogram of the amounts won or lost over the 100,000 sessions. The most amount won was $1,548, and the most amount lost was $783. However, these really aren't typical results. The most typical results are right around zero. One third of all sessions are between zero and a loss of $200. Almost 60% or 3 out of 5 sessions ended between a loss of $200 and a win of $200. 90% of all sessions ended between plus and minus $400. And over 98% of all sessions ended between plus and minus $600. So, given that, what's an appropriate bankroll for this strategy? To answer this question, let's look at all the sessions and see how far down they were at their worst moment. Here, 195 out of 100,000 sessions, or just under 0.2%, never fell below their original bankroll. Roughly 1 in 5 sessions were never down further than $100, and 54% were never down by more than $200. 99.9% of players never fell below $600. So with $600, you have a less than 1 in 1,000 chance of exhausting your bankroll before finishing all 10 shooters. And that brings me to the fourth and final question. How hot does a shooter have to be before you're playing with house money? What do I mean by this? Some people criticize this strategy because once you get all set up, you still need to hit a few times before it really pays off. For example, say you get set up so you have $90 on the table. Now, even if you hit a 4 or 10, which pays 2 to 1, that's $30 plus the $15 that you won on your original bet, which is a total of $45 won. You'll need to repeat that in order to recoup the $90 you have on the table. If you hit the 5, 6, 8, or 9, it will take even longer to recoup that $90. But once you do, you'll be playing with house money. Let's look at the data. This time we'll look at the data by shooter rather than by session because that makes more sense for this type of analysis. For the first roll, 100% of all shooters are rolling. That's the survival column. That makes sense, right? It's the first come out roll. Of the 1 million shooters in the simulation, 222,000 or 22% are above their original bankroll after the first roll. All shooters survive to the second roll, and just over 32% of the time, the players now have a positive bankroll. It starts getting interesting on the third roll because now we have a survival rate of 88.9% because some of the shooters are starting to 7 out. And of those sessions that are still in it, 24% have a positive bankroll. That number dips just a little bit on the fourth shooter and then it starts climbing again. The reason it behaves like this is because the player has the advantage on those come out rolls for the pass line and the 2 come bets. That advantage starts to erode after the first few rolls as those points are set. By the 9th roll, players are more likely than not to have a positive bankroll. They're essentially playing with house money at this point. At the 17th roll, 90% of the players that are still rolling are up. That climbs to 99% by the 26th roll, but only 2% of shooters ever make it this far. So is this good or bad? That's not so much for me to say. This strategy has a very low house edge of 0.8%, but it is fair that it's more effective on longer rolls. But you could probably say that about a lot of crap strategies. If this is a strategy you like and it fits into your bankroll, I say go for it. Let's do a quick recap. We simulated 100,000 sessions playing through 10 shooters, which resulted in 8.5 million rolls. The house edge is 0.8%. This strategy wins about 44% of the time. 90% of the time, the player will end between plus or minus $400. A bankroll of $600 has a 99.9% chance of surviving all 10 shooters, and 50% of players will be playing with house money by a shooter's 9th roll. I hope you found this interesting. Leave a comment below to let me know which strategy I should simulate next. And it would help the channel if you would like or subscribe. Thanks for watching.